Greetings and welcome to another Rob Chappers Response Region Reactions, answering everything Q&A type fiasco, where I shall endeavour to answer as many of your deep and insightful questions as is humanly possible. Hope you really enjoy it, and I hope you become part of the whole thing crew. Let's begin, shall we? We have many to get through. Grab a beverage. Today I'm in one of the beautiful national parks of Malta. I think actually it's the only national park in Malta because Malta's so teeny tiny and lovely. And hopefully you'll get to enjoy some of the beautiful scenery, landscape, trees, rocks, grass and sea that this wonderful country provides. I'm doppel-phoning so I can read the questions on this one and record it on this one. So bear with me. Vinu Puthan Kati says, I watched the whole thing. Thank you, blessed be. Many thanks for taking the time and choosing a great location to answer some of our questions. Loved every bit about industry talk and musicianship. 2 questions, okay? You get 2 only. Number 1, any future products from Snake Oil Fine Instruments? Yes. Currently, our Commander-in-Chief, Dave Hollingworth, who is Chapman Guitars and Snake Oil's head designer, is working very hard on some new Snake Oil product. Now, obviously, I can't kind of give the game away and tell you, what you might expect. But there'll be something really cool coming your way. I have no idea at all what it might be. And that was question number 1 from Vinu. Number 2 was, what are your thoughts on a modestly priced entry-level series of Chapman guitars, say like something under £350? The only way you can make a guitar retail for under £350 is if it is made in China. And I have nothing particularly against Chinese manufacturing, but I would say that my dreams and ambitions for Chapman guitars do not include really cheap guitars. I would rather make a great entry-level guitar that started about 500 English sterling, something that I knew that I could take on tour that would last a beginner a good number of years and not break, and be something that I would feel proud of. So I don't want to make cheap guitars. By the way, when I say I think this is really important to mention, because I suppose when you guys think of Chapman guitars, you probably see my face, which is awful. I'm sorry about that. But don't forget that Chapman Guitars is Lee Anderton and Rob Chapman and many other people. It's not just me, it's Dave, it's Andy, it's Pablo, it's, people like Beer very involved. So there's loads of us, and it has to be a balance of our aspirations and sort of vision. And so we don't want to make cheap guitars, basically. Thank you for your questions, Vino. Next question from Emily Lister, possibly one of my only female viewers. You are welcome. Thank you for watching. How does it feel to have such an epic beard? Well, I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. I get likened to Santa Claus by my kids, at least the one that can speak. It feels nice and comforting and warm when it's humid and cold in Malta. And to be honest with you, with the plague we're currently going through, it's not particularly easy to find a professional to trim your beard in this environment. So at the moment, I'm just growing it out, just enjoying the barbage. Take it in. Matt Stevens asks, along with quite a few of you, what kind of watch are you wearing? Thank you for asking. It is a Breitling Transocean. My wife got it for me for our wedding anniversary. I absolutely love it, and I only really wear it for special occasions. Here's a question from Mr. Ross Horn, who says, Rob, why should I buy the ML3 Pro Traditional Black Metallic instead of the Fender Paisley Road Worn, which is £200 more expensive? Also, I liked it better when the Pro Series came with a Chapman branded case. It showed pride in the guitar, if that doesn't sound daft. Also, watched the whole thing. Well, blessed be the whole thing crew. Why should you buy the Chapman over the Fender? I don't think you should. Or should you? Which guitar did you prefer? I'm not going to tell you to buy a Chapman over a Fender. Fender make great guitars. I've got a couple of Fenders. I love them. And, Brad Paisley's a wicked guitar player. So if you like the Fender, go get the Fender, man. If you like the Chapman, get the Chapman. Just get the one that makes you really excited about playing guitar, and don't worry too much about the spec. Yes, the Chapman has stainless steel frets and some higher spec'd timbers, and yes, maybe it has some branded pickups and other parts and all that kind of gubbins, but if you want the Fender, go for that Fender bad boy. As for the case, listen, we discovered that making cases and shipping them in a container actually costs more to the end user than them buying a case aftermarket. So yeah, we could provide cases still, but we thought we'd rather put the money into the pickups and put Seymour Duncans in the guitars. So just for now, just buy a case like a Hiscox or something cool, because it's honestly cheaper than us providing it for you. So we're just trying to save you money. Question from Mr. Dennis Parks. As a beginner, how much time should I commit to practicing? I suppose my honest answer is just as much as you think you can. I mean, how good do you want to be? You know, I mean, honestly, for me, when I was learning guitar at the age of 16, I played from dusk until dawn, and many a time would fall asleep with the guitars in my hands, but I didn't really consider it practicing. It was more that I was just playing all the time because I loved playing guitar. I don't think you want to see it as practicing, just see it as playing. Play the guitar, enjoy playing the guitar, but if you really, really want to be good, you've got to put the hours in. There's no getting around it. I'm a firm believer of those 10,000 hours of hard graft. But try and make the graft not feel like graft. Learn some songs and you know, yeah, exercises, scales and modes and arpeggios and chord progressions and intervallics are all important and fundamental in your development, but not as important as writing your own music and just playing with other musicians when you can. Question from Mr. Jack Beckett. Hi Rob, don't know if you have any videos on the topic, but how did you mechanically, technique-wise go about learning to use vocal compression and projecting in a higher range than you presumably could before you started singing? Good question, and it's on vocals, which I like because I don't often get the chance to talk about that. I got lessons from an amazing teacher. In fact, my wife organised a fundraising activity and many of you contributed and bought me lessons, and I learned from those lessons all about vocal compression, but more importantly placement. Placement was the key for me. Mix and head voice, and you know, it's really to do with where you project the voice from and the mental visualization that goes along with it. It makes a big difference, because with the guitar you can see everything there, but with the voice it's all hidden. So you need an internal visualization to understand where the mechanics are sitting. So I got some really good lessons. If you're interested in vocal heat, I would recommend learning from somebody like Mary Zimmer. She's really, really, really good at that kind of thing. And if you just want brilliant vocal tuition, I would check out the Singing Success course, which is what I got with you guys. Fantastic donations, thank you so much, because it made a world of difference to me, because I can now hit notes in the range of Richie Kotzen, which previously would have been something that was absolutely unimaginable. So yeah, that's what I recommend. Streza Lenis. Rob, I remember you saying something about scales a while back. Didn't hear it all. Can you please tell me if I spent quite a lot of time working on nothing but minor pentatonic scales, would it in any way prepare or help me for starting guitar lessons? So basically, should he spend a lot of time working on his pentatonic scales? Well, yeah, pentatonic scales are amazing. I mean, there's so much you can do with a solid foundation in pentatonic scales. Should you do it before you see a guitar teacher? Well, why not go to a guitar teacher before, just to make sure that your technique is correct, that you're practicing the right way. You know, he or she will give you lots of skills and tools that will super speed your progress. Because yeah, you can learn online. I teach bits online. There are loads of brilliant courses and resources, you know, on YouTube for free, but none of it will be as effective as a teacher sat with you, moving your hand, giving you ideas, creatively pushing you, and if they're experienced, they'll know what kind of a learner you are, whether you are visual, whether you need a metaphor, whether you need physical manipulation, that kind of thing. It makes a big difference. Some people literally need their wrists put into position, their shoulder dropped, their thumb moved, and some people just need the right words in the right order for them to go, yeah, I get it. So do both. Practice your scales, probably more important, practice your chords, and see a guitar teacher when and if you can. Okay, here's one kind of close to my heart. A gentleman called Guitar Brew. Great name. Any advice for a father who wants to work in the music industry, currently studying music production? Love everything you do, Rob. You've been a source of inspiration and entertainment for years. Thanks, dude. Yes, the music industry is huge. It is a massive entity. It's a bit like a solar system. In the middle, you have music, but then surrounding the sun of music, you have all of the different sections of industry that end up making that product. So there's video production and editing, there's music production and editing, there is technical assistance for musicians, there's a whole host of things, myriad of stuff. But what you got to ask yourself is, how is that solar system going to look next year? What's going to be really, really, really big in 22? Because I think, it's just my hunch, but I think live entertainment, when it comes back, will be huge. I think so many people are going to want to go and see a band or an act or a comedian or anything live. We crave, interaction with people, and we've had it taken away from us. You know, if you remove ice cream from planet Earth for a year and then bring it back, people are like, give me the ice cream. So I think live will be big. I would put your eggs in many baskets, and I would focus on production, but also video production, which is big. There's a lot of money in video production. I personally employ people to do that, and know a lot of people that do. But also take a look at some way of applying it to people that do live things. It doesn't mean you have to go out because you've got kids, but maybe there's a service that you can offer people that are doing things live. Just look at all of the different jobs and try and cover as many of them as possible so that you are secure and safe. Don't focus on one thing. That's a big mistake. When I was kicking off in this industry, I was doing session work, I was teaching, I was stringing and setting up guitars, I was doing backing vocals, I was playing in 2 bands. I did everything I possibly could because it's the only way I knew that one of these little income streams would be enough. And of course I did YouTube as well. Hope that helps. Next question from Mr. Red Les Paul. I'm guessing that you have a Red Les Paul. Congratulations. Thanks, Rob. Could I request a lesson on putting runs together? When you're shredding, you pull out these slick legato runs that just sound so impressive and cascade over and over. Probably years of playing satisfy. However, could you put a lesson together to teach us all? Yeah, sure, no problem. My runs, you're right, they absolutely come from years of listening to Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Marty Friedman, Alex Skolnick, who's a phenomenal player, more jazz now, but amazing metal player. And it comes from cycling through scales in different numbers, quintuplets, just pick a number and play through the scale in a pattern that runs and feels nice. And also, I really cut my teeth with legato learning how to play Flying in a Blue Dream. Go and learn that song. If you can play even the first, 30 seconds of Flying in a Blue Dream, I think it's a really, really good educational experience in legato and runs. Thank you for your question. Ferrotone Studios. I recognise your username, sir. You've been watching me for a while. Thank you very much. What 2 drive pedals could you not do without? All styles of drive pedal, like screamers and clones. Now, this isn't a plug, but I really love the Very Thing from Snake Oil Fine Instruments. It is, for me, something that currently I cannot be without on my board. I use it all the time. But that's not surprising, because I was involved in its design. It fulfills a purpose that I need. And then the other one, and this will be no surprise to the majority of the viewers who've been watching me for a while, is the Jimi Hendrix Dunlop Anniversary Octavia pedal, which I think is probably my favourite pedal of all time. I'm going to say that. I really do. It's just, it blows my mind. In fact, I literally just finished recording a solo for the track Long Way to Fall, and I use the Jimi Hendrix Octavia almost exclusively on that track. It just does a thing nothing else does. I love it, especially when you back off the tone, back off the volume. Something happens when you back off the volume and tone on the guitar, and it's, whoa, huge Dragonfly. Anyway, yeah, those two, love them. I mean, no, obviously Metal Zone, the new Metal Zone, the Wadzercraft Metal Zone is sick. It is nothing like the previous iteration of that pedal. And actually Lee stumbled upon a really, really cool setting on that pedal that is great. And the Tube Screamer. I love pedals, man. Larry Dancer Jr. Have you lost weight? Well, I have. Not as much as Beer. He has lost all of the weight. I have lost weight. I'm going to tell you why, because it's kind of funny if you think about it. When I was living in England, it was very, very easy for me to order takeaway food, and I absolutely am obsessed with Indian and Chinese cuisine, especially Indian food, which really is England's national food. I cannot get enough of hot, spicy curries, and frankly, I would have an Indian meal every other day, something like that. I packed a bit of weight on, a bit of Christmas buffer for eating Indian food. Moved to Malta, suddenly it's Mediterranean lifestyle, lots of fresh fruit, which is just mad. That you can buy strawberries here the size of your fist. Stuff is just really big here, you know. So fruit and veg is nice here, and I'm not really getting takeaway food because they don't have a lot of gluten-free food, and unfortunately I am very allergic to gliadin, gluten, wheat. Mr. James S. Great video, Chappers. Can you do a video on how to put riffs together into a song, or how to have an idea come together, if that makes sense? It does make sense. Or can you give me a private lesson for money? I'm sorry, I don't teach anymore, but I appreciate you asking. How to connect riffs together. Sounds like you write riffs without considering them to be the beginning or part of a song. I don't write riffs to stockpile. I write songs. So if I have the inspiration to write something and I get a riff, I keep going. There's more behind it. It's the beginning of a story, or it's part of a story. It's a bit of a chain. So don't write riffs and then stick them in a folder and go, that was riff one. Consider your riff to be the seed of the tree, which is a song, and then continue from there, and you'll be more successful because they will naturally come out of your mind linking together, rather than you having to go, oh, well, that one is an A and this one's also an A and they're a similar tempo, so probably that will work if I don't do that. That's a world of pain. It's not gonna work for you. Well, it might work. I've done it before, honestly, but it's nothing like as good as the natural way, as nature intended, from your brain to the strings. Monsieur StratoCat62, Rob, do you ever get bored of living in Malta? I imagine it to be extremely different from what you were used to in England. What did you have the most difficulty adjusting to? What do you miss the most from home, other than friends and family? I've heard that veggies are very expensive here. Okay, so veggies are not very expensive here if you go to the local farmers. Like Mjar has a farmer's market, they deliver direct, which is really good. But yeah, imported goods are expensive because we're a tiny island in the middle of the Mediterranean. What do I miss? Order, structure, just that kind of thing. But then I also love about Malta that it is a little bit chaotic. Honestly, I mean, look, I grew up, I was born in London, St Pancras. But then very quickly afterwards, my family moved to Holland, and I actually spent the majority of my childhood years in Amsterdam and a bit in Luxembourg, which is why I speak quite a lot of French and a bit of Dutch. Came to England at around school age, so 5, 6, that kind of thing. So my early years were not in England, although I am English. I also spent a year living in Canada. I spent a lot of time abroad for Chapman. I mean, twice a year, every year for about 8 years. I've been in Asia, Korea, Indonesia, sometimes China, all over the place. And having lived abroad numerous times and travelled abroad a lot and married someone from Malta, I got to a point where, although England is where I'm from, I feel more like an earthling. That sounds a little bit, I'm an earthling. But I'm an earthling, and I love this country. It's so warm and friendly and inviting. I mean, look at it. It's just beautiful, man. What a beautiful place to live. People are friendly and they're caring, and it's just, yes, it's a tiny, tiny island in the middle of nowhere. In fact, it doesn't even feature on some maps. But I really like it. I do miss some of the food in England. Probably that's a good thing. I miss loads of my friends and family. I don't know when I'm going to get to see them again with the recent news from Bojo. And I miss, being able to work freely with some of the people that I had there, the studios, that kind of thing. But then I've got wicked friends over here, Luke and Matt and everyone, and a brilliant studio to work at. And to be honest, I just feel blessed that Malta opened its doors and let me in, and I'm officially a Maltese citizen through marriage. So thank you, Malta. But yeah, I miss England. You know what? I really miss California. I miss a lot about California. The open roads, easy parking, the sunshine. In fact, I have to say, Malta feels a little bit like California with the sun. This bad boy up here, because I'm used to being in California in January for the NAMM show, and the weather feels like this, which is quite nice, I have to say. In fact, yesterday, I reckon I could have got sunburned if I'd sat on the beach any longer than I did. Well, that about wraps that up. Thank you so much for asking me all of your burning questions and answerable delights. Please fire more of them in the comment section below should you have any more requirements. Naħseb importanti ħafna ngħid grazzi lil Malta. Grazzi ħafna for having me. Means a lot. Check out this random 60s Star Trek type topography. It's insane, huh? It looks like at any point a dinosaur is going to bundle out the forest and start chomping on some. Anyway, take it easy. Smash all the important associated buttons, like, subscribes, bells, like, dislike, doesn't matter. It's all good to the almighty algorithm. Bye.